This week, we fly through rings, land on things and survive collisions that sting. Is the Nintendo 64 version of Pilotwings. For the years leading up to the launch of the Nintendo 64, Nintendo was preparing for their 64-bit system by gathering a team of developers into what they called their Dream Team. And these developers would work in partnership with Nintendo to bring exclusive experiences to the new console. The first game to be released from a Dream Team partner was Pilotwings 64, a launch game co-developed by Nintendo and Paradigm Entertainment, an expert in creating interactive simulations for the military and commercial partners, and quite frankly the perfect team for taking Pilotwings from 2D to 3D. The original Pilotwings for the SNES was an excellent attempt at fudging 3D space within 2D visuals, thanks to the excellent use of Mode 7. Pilotwings 64 takes the basics of the original game and brings it to a fully realised 3D world. 4 isolated islands are the perfect setting for would-be pilots hoping to master 3 different types of craft: the hang glider, rocket pack and gyrocopter. This is not a serious flight simulator, and the focus on fun yet challenging missions, as well as the variety of those missions, is what makes Pilotwings 64 so enjoyable. Sometimes you'll navigate through challenging aerial obstacle courses, flying through rings suspended in the air. Missions will see you popping balloons by running them at top speed, and while you'll even be called on to obliterate a gigantic metal version of one of the game's selectable avatars. Yet, the common thread between all of these unusual diversions is that each craft feels great to pilot. Simple controls ensure that the mechanics of flying are easily picked up and are fun at the same time, while the way each craft works is so different that it actually adds that little bit extra depth. Each of the game's island-based environments have their own depth as well. It's easy to be too focused on the task at hand to realise that most of the time it's possible to explore these areas and see the sights, and if you're lucky, find an elusive Birdman style that grants you wings as well as the true freedom of exploration. Compared to the SNES original, this 64-bit edition features a little more character, thanks to the cast of playable pilots in different weight classes that really do make a difference when flying, especially with crafts like the hang glider. They're all unique in terms of looks, and also changes the skin of your craft as well, but it just feels like there could have been a little more interaction with them in some way. I mean, outside of the character's select screen and screams of horror when you crash, you'd barely know you were playing as a character. Even in the tensest of scenarios that Pilotwings 64 has to offer, it's hard not to just feel relaxed throughout the whole experience. It could be the music, which flips between calm elevator music and the sort of funky tracks that would not feel entirely out of place in the sort of movies your dad watches when mummy's not around. Or it could just be that the sensation and freedom of flight that Pilotwings 64 delivers is just so pleasant. That's not to say there isn't a sense of challenge, because this is a game that's all about getting as perfect a score as possible, which is most of the fun. Completing missions quickly, landing accurately and performing the mission objectives almost immaculately is easier said than done for some aircraft, but being that missions are usually just a few minutes long, there is a definite element of wanting just one more go to see if you can do better. High or perfect scores mean bragging rights, but it also unlocks some of the more outlandish of Pilotwings 64's missions. If you ever wanted to fire out of a cannon straight into a target on the side of Mount Rushmore, then you are catered for. Same goes if you ever wanted to safely skydive or strap on spring-loaded boots. These bonus stages are all very unique, but also contain the ability to get a perfect score in order to unlock Pilotwings 64's ultimate reward, on-demand Birdman mode for each of the game's islands without having to find those stars. However, achieving that reward is not the most challenging of tasks, and it does highlight issues with the game's length. While 20 plus missions sounds like quite a lot, it doesn't take too long to see them all, and when all of those are done with, it definitely feels like there should have been more to do. A great sense of fun, excellent controls and interesting environments make each mission a real treat. More missions would have definitely been great, and despite best efforts, this is missing something in terms of presentation and character. The pinnacle of the Pilotwings trilogy, it is one of the most fun and relaxing games ever seen on a console, and playing it again just makes me long for a new entry. After 2 decades, there are still very few games that do what Pilotwings 64 does. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this and want more, you can click this icon to subscribe, this icon to support me financially via Patreon, or these icons to watch more videos from my channel. Why not take a few seconds to answer the question of the week in the comments, or just let me know what you thought of this video. See you next week.